Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. And if you ever wonder why extended range Steelballs can be a very difficult unit to play against, then this is the game for you. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am playing as a cost control specialist, and I'm against Sparty, playing as a fortify specialist. I started off with 2 spiders, 3 marksmen, and I've decided just to add 1 more spider because my opponent started with mustangs and marksmen. So in theory, if I can get through the chaff, I should be able to get the marksman with my 3 spiders. Or at the very least, my marksman should be able to get his marksman before he gets rid of my spider. So let's see if this actually happens. Unfortunately, on the right-hand side, he put 2 marksmen there, and I have very few crawlers to tank. So that tarantula was brought down very quickly. On the left-hand side, I might be able to get tower. And once I get tower, my crawlers is going to run to the other side and hopefully get to that marksman. And of course, I still have the tarantula, so that is going to do a bit of work. Alright, Sparty is going to get my marksman, but not before his marksman get one-shotted. Round 2. Elite Rhino is very interesting. I think I'm going to take Elite Rhino. Missile Strike is more of a standard play, right? You just use the missile to get rid of a chaff and perhaps 1 marksman. Level 3 Rhino at round 2 is very difficult to against. Because I'm cost control, I have the money to actually summon one of these guys. And if anything, I can always just sell it. A Rhino is not very expensive to unlock. It's just 50 resource to unlock. But when you have them at level 3, this guy can tank for days. This guy's just going to walk in, get tower, walks to the other side, get the other tower, and I don't think Sparty has an answer to that. Now, looking at his board, he is going to add even more marksmen because it was very successful last round. They simply outrange my tarantula a little too hard. And with the missile, and he knows, you know, either I'm going to go something like this, or I'm just going to put more crawlers on the side. So he was fully prepared for that. He has the missile right there in the middle. I added a missile here because I didn't want to deal with all the chaff, especially I didn't want to deal with the mustangs. Level 3 Rhino, doing Rhino things. Wasn't able to tank all the way to the tower, but it did enough tanking, allowing my tarantulas just to walk up to the tower. So looking at the board here, Sparty does have a few fans and 1 single marksman, and that's not going to help him because once the tower goes down, my marksman is just going to turn around and one-shot this guy. And there we go. We got reinforcement cards. Heavy armor is really good. Heavy armor is great on things like a Rhino. Sparty decided to take extended range Steelballs, perhaps as a hedge against if I were to put down even more Rhinos. I sold my level 3 Rhino, I put the heavy armor on him, and I drop him all the way on the side. It is a bit of a risky move because he could very well just drop a pack of Steelballs right here, and that would be pretty disastrous for me. As for now, there is no Steelballs, which means these 3 units are going to be drawn to my Rhino, and they would never kill it. I added range on my tarantulas, and I started to add even more chaff. The level 2 crawlers here is actually a very reasonable upgrades because my opponent doesn't have a heavy chaff clear. Right now, the only chaff clear comes from these mustangs and maybe some of these fans, all of which deal very little damage with many shots. So a level 2 crawler can actually just tank for the entire health that they're getting. So I think this is good, and it's a cheap way of just getting more health in front of these tarantulas. I also took range on this tarantula, so hopefully I'm able to engage his units before his snipers lock onto me. Now, unfortunately, this level 2 sniper just continues to be a menace on this poor right side tarantula. My Rhino on the other side, it doesn't even care. He's just pounding and slashing and just getting through all 3 squads of units here. Level 2 tarantula also allows me to just contest the marksman a little bit better. Now they need to walk fewer steps before they can deal the damage. So that's very good for me all around. Alright, we got a unit dropping round 4. Lots of interesting options. Melting Point is the choice I had. I was also just debating between Sabertooth. The reason I had Melting Point is because we're already at round 4. There's probably a good chance that Sparty is going to put down a giant of some sort. And I have decent chap clear. I already got range on my tarantulas, which means around this area here, that's sort of my kill zone, right? Probably even further, like this area right here, that's my kill zone. So my tarantula could just walk up and they can deal the damage. Sparty, on the other hand, picked the level 3 arc lights, which I agree with. I'm surprised he didn't range these arc lights because he needed chap clear and I am going crawlers. So he could have got rid of my crawlers a little bit sooner. I sold my level 3 Rhino in order to bring another tech onto the tarantula. So these are the spider mines. I got 5 of them, and not only they can provide chaff, they also are decent to deal with things like the Steelballs. I saw that Sparty took ER Steelballs, so I wanted to have a way to answer that. The Steelballs have a bad habit of locking onto your units, and while they're locking onto your unit, they're not really firing at the spider mines. So sometimes your spider mines can actually get in and deal the damage. ER Steelballs does decrease their HP by about 40%, which means they are now a lot easier to kill for my spider mines, but also just for my tarantulas. Even a level 1 Steelball can have a hard time against a level 2 tarantula as they simply just 3-shot them. So right now I am still at a tempo advantage and I should be able to win this round. Ooh, very close, almost getting my melting point, but nope, this level 2 melting point is going to survive. Alright, now things are getting a little interesting. We both took junior manufacturing because we both mostly consist of junior or small units. I took junior because I feel like right now my opponent hasn't really shown any drastic tech change with the exception of these steel balls. And I feel like if I have enough tarantulas that are staggered, that have spider mine, I should be able to cause enough problems for my opponent so that these steel balls will spend all of their time trying to get through my spider mines. That's the plan anyways. So I continue to add on spider mines. Completely forgot that this was a missile turn, so I didn't put down a shield, which means I am going to lose this squad of crawlers and also this marksman because the missile does 3,000 damage. Alright, we got even more spider mines coming down. Spider mines just tanking all the sniper shots. My crawlers are walking in. Looking at the board, I feel like I am a little thin on chaff, but they are working. So as you can see right now, right, this Spider-Man are just walking up to these balls. My left-hand side is not doing too well. It is being ganged up on by these squad of steel balls. Oh, I didn't notice Sparty actually took energy absorption. So with these ranged steel balls, energy absorption helped them contest against the tarantulas one-on-one. Now, it doesn't help them too much if the tarantulas are 2 levels ahead. But if they're just 1 level ahead, the steel ball could, maybe not the initial steel ball, but the second steel ball, if they're locking onto the same target, should be able to get enough charge to out-heal the damage done from my tarantulas. Round 5 is going to end very similar to round 4 with a high-level melting point just refuses to die. Alright, another unit drop. I could have gone with Sabertooth for the Saber Cash, but I've decided to go with Stormcallers. Stormcallers are great if you can hold your enemy's unit down. So Sparty went for the Vulcan, just for extra chaff clear. I went Stormcallers with Fire, knowing that we have Mustangs running forward. We also have tons of Fangs that just kind of walking very slowly. So if I have Fire on these Fangs, I theoretically could cause a lot of problem in this box here. And this Stormcaller is going to cause problem in this box here. So that's really good news. And to amplify the damage of the fire, I added some oil. And I wasn't sure where to put this oil. I didn't exactly want to have the oil ignited right away, but instead I said, you know what? Let's use the slowing effect of the oil as best as we can, so that when his units are coming up, it's kind of getting stuck here, allowing my spider just to move up a little bit further. My Sparty loses that initial shield from these fans. my spider should be able to out DPS the rest of his unit. So if I were to ignite this oil, I'm only going to get that benefit from 1 turn, but because I'm not igniting it, I am going to keep that oil on the ground, hopefully for 2 turns. Alright, so it looks like everything on the side has been cleared up. However, my center is being attacked pretty hard. And my high-level Tarantula is kind of like a experienced Pianata here, and they're giving these Steelballs an opportunity to go to level 2. Now, whenever you're playing Steelballs, right, it is an anti-chaff game on your side of the board. Steelballs are great at killing up pretty much everything except chaff, so you just want to make sure that you have that in front of you. And it was very smart of Sparty to go Vulcan, because it's just a hard, definitive answer against chaff. Okay, so right now, a almost flawless game here, bringing Sparty down to 570, and this is when I decided to do something stupid. And I thought, my spiders were doing so great. At this point, they're practically carry units. I mean, sure, they've got Vulcan here, but I have 1 melting point, and I have really high-level spider mines. So what if I just triple attack it? Now I have range, but what if I just go with range and mech rage? I'm going to clear out his chaff super fast, and once that's done, I should be able to turn my attention to these steel balls. Now looking back, that was a mistake, because his steel ball does have energy absorption. So no matter how much DPS I get on these tarantulas, if I cannot kill the entire squad of steel balls before his steel balls charges up, I will still lose that fight. There was a battleship summon on the reinforcement, and I was expecting it. So I've decided to get that card myself. I put my battleship on one side, and I mobile beacon my level 3 marksman on the other side, anticipating for a battleship drop. And indeed, there was that battleship, and my level 3 marksman should be able to 2-shot it, if not 3-shot it very easily. And looking at the front here, ooh, this level 4 Tarantula, they're just not dealing enough damage, right? It is getting brought down, but fortunately, wow, the Spider-Man just getting in. The Spider-Man's doing damage. I am winning on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, but it is the center that is currently being under attack here. And with 2 Vulcans still on the board, that is going to be a lot of damage. Sparty also took range on these steel balls, and now these puppies are doing 140 meters. They're doing the default range of a marksman. That's crazy. And here is where you can see the real power of extended range steel balls with range. At this point, these steel balls aren't just tanking units anymore, right? You can almost treat them as mini melting points. And just like the melting points, with energy absorption, once they latch on, it becomes exceedingly difficult to get them off you. And unlike the melting point, where all you need to do is to kill 1 unit fast enough, these steel balls comes into squads of 4s, which means if just one of them latches onto your tarantula, that's a dead tarantula. And also being 140 meter range, some of your normal counter to the steel balls will stop working. So if you're looking at steel balls, right, in a typical game without extended range, you can put down scorpions, but with 140 meter of range, even ranged scorpions are going to have a hard time locking onto these steel balls before it locks onto the scorpion. You can try melting point against non-ranged steel balls, especially if you go multi-melter. So I do already have melting points on the board. I already have range. I'm going to get EM Barrage. But again, 140 range steel balls, very difficult to deal with. It's a very tricky thing. Like once you have these many steel balls, what can you do? Another option is just to go air, right? Air units, they are okay, but air units also suffer into some pretty hard counters. My opponent could just very well put down a melting point one here, right? Because remember, even though the steel balls are now kind of carry units that are shooting from a distance, they're extremely tanky. So if they got nothing to shoot, they just walk up to your tower, get your tower, and your melting point is just going to take down your overlords. So there's really no easy counter to extend the range steel balls at this point. And to make matters worse, Sparty was mobile beaconed them all the way down the line here. Another huge round for Sparty, and now I started to sweat because I had no answer. I went through all the possible options in my mind, and I had no answer. Another way to deal with Steelballs is just put down more chaff. Normally, it would be a sensible option, but in this case, we got 3 ranged Vulcans. They're going to melt everything that's on the ground, right? And not to mention, I already have a lot of chaff in terms of these spider mines. So in one fell swoop, Sparty completely notified the triple tech tarantulas on my side of the board, because the most they can do is 115, and what that means is by the time my tarantula can actually target a steel ball, the steel ball would have already latched onto the tarantula and nothing would have happened to those steel balls because they have energy absorption. And that's how scary this composition is. So when you're out of options, right, you kind of think, okay, what can I do that can provide both more chaff, but also potentially more attack power in the later games? Probably more spiders. These are triple tagged, lots of units, right? Maybe that's something I could do. I've already gone with the Firestorm Callers, so I should be able to deal with the Mustangs fairly easily. I wonder if I could have gone also with EM. My worry right now is just that last game, I don't think my Stormcallers even targeted these steel balls before they were brought down, right? If you're looking at the damage dealt, this guy dealt 617. This guy did more because it was able to latch on to a Vulcan after we dispatched the steel balls. But I wasn't entirely confident in that composition. Sparty is going to do another drive-by shooting with the steel balls once again. And with no chaff down here, just look how quickly these steel balls latch onto my tarantula. Jesus Christ. And that's one dead tarantula. Now, thankfully, my spider mines are coming in, but it doesn't matter. There's just too many steel balls on the board. And yeah, I mean, you look at this board and you can almost see them as a bunch of melting points with a bunch of Vulcans. And that's also another very difficult composition to go against. So I believe this is game. I mean, we still got 3 Vulcans on the field, tons of steel balls. Maybe this is game. Maybe I'm able to survive for one more round. No, this is game. So a crazy game with extended range steel balls. I was able to bring my opponent down all the way to 570. But once it took range, and once he had this huge amount of chaff clear in the form of Vulcans, I had no answer. Now, what would you do in this case? Would you have gone air immediately? Would you have gone something else? Well, let us know in the comments. I hope you liked the video. I don't believe you've seen this one. So if you got some time, I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.